Good day, friends. If you've been following my channel, you know I'm a LOTRO superfan. With the launch of the new 64-bit legendary servers, I couldn't resist setting myself a massive new challenge. I'm embarking on an epic journey to complete every single quest and deed in each zone of Middle-earth. Yep, you heard that right. 100% completion in each area. And I'm kicking it off in none other than Breeland. I rolled a brawler, started from scratch in Archet, and decided on some strict ground rules to make things interesting. First up, I have to finish all the Breeland quests and deeds before I can even think about moving on to the next zone. This added a whole new layer of difficulty because my gear was limited to what I could craft and the materials I could gather right there in Breeland or from quest rewards. It really tests your resourcefulness and planning. Secondly, I'm racing against the clock, aiming to complete this challenge as quickly as possible. That means I am multitasking like a mad hobbit, crafting Slayer deeds and questing all at the same time. To keep everything straight and my sanity intact, I'm using Clockify to track the time spent on each task. It's my secret weapon to stay on top of this ambitious goal. As I dove into my epic LOTRO challenge, I decided to break it down into 4 key parts to keep things manageable and exciting. First up, questing. This is where I became the ultimate errand runner for NPCs, scurrying around to fulfill their every whim and fancy. From helping villagers to fighting off bandits, this is where the adventure truly kicks off. Next, deeding. I split this into Slayer deeds and location deeds. Trust me, taking down sickle flies was a real test of patience and skill. More on that struggle later. Then, crafting. I chose metalsmith and weaponsmith to make sure my character was decked out with the best gear possible as I leveled up. Nothing beats the feeling of wielding a weapon you crafted yourself. Lastly, instances. Some quests required me to dive into instances to boost my reputation. I kept a close eye on the time spent in the Great Barrows instances, where the real challenge lies. I felt these 4 pillars would cover everything I needed to conquer Breeland. Starting off in Archet was a blast. The server was bustling with players, all trying to level up just like me. The quick spawn rate kept the action flowing, so there was no downtime waiting for enemies to reappear. It was a real thrill. But the biggest highlight for me was reaching the iconic prancing pony. Just like in the Fellowship of the Ring, this is where Frodo and the other hobbits first meet Strider. Remember that intense moment when the wraiths attack in the dead of night? Strider, ever the hero, outsmarts them and ensures Frodo's safety. Experiencing meeting Strider at the prancing pony brought back all those feelings, as well as killing the wraiths all over the place. Breeland is packed with adventure and plenty of places to explore. It includes Archet, Combe, Staddle, Midgewater Marshes, the north areas near the Bree festival grounds, Atto's camp to the west of Bree, Buckland, the Every Old Forest, and the formidable Great Barrows. As you journey through Bree, you'll be exploring levels 1 through 25. If you're wondering where to head next while leveling up, stick to the epic storyline. It will guide you seamlessly from one town to the next. Archet is where it all begins. This starting zone is fantastic for learning the ropes, how to slot gear, pick up quests, and complete them for your well-earned rewards. I won't spoil anything, but let's just say poor Omdir has found himself in a bit of a pickle once too often. After wrapping up in Archet, I headed straight to Combe. This place is a quest hub. You can pick up a slew of quests, and the best part is that about 90% of them can be completed in the nearby Chetwood Forest. Don't forget to stop by the crafting cottage in Combe to learn your crafting skills. It's a crucial step, especially if you're just starting. Gather materials as you go so you won't have to backtrack later. Once you've conquered Combe, you can either venture directly into Bree, or if you're a completionist, head to Staddle next. This quaint hobbit suburb offers a ton of quests that give you a taste of hobbit life, from picking pipeweed to playing matchmaker. Staddle also sends you to the Midgewater Marshes, where you'll battle spiders, knickerbreakers, and your first goblins. And here's a tip. Take down every single sickle fly you spot. It's part of a deed, and trust me, they're notoriously hard to find, unless you're a hunter, of course. After a refreshing drink at the Staddle watering hole, I made my way into Bree. My first stop, Barlam and Butterbur at Prancing Pony, of course. After all the adventuring, I was parched and ready for a pint of their finest ale. And yes, folks, they do come in pints. Meeting with Strider in his private rooms was a game changer. He revealed some some serious troubles brewing in Bree, and I eagerly offered my help to prepare the way for Frodo and the hobbits. Bree might not have a ton of quests, but it's a crucial hub in LOTRO. Whether players mean Bree the town or Bree the zone, it's the heart of Middle-earth adventures. With its stables, vaults, crafting station, housing brokers, shopping, and more, Bree is the ultimate crossroads. So, if it's your first time here, take a moment to explore and soak in the sights. From Bree, I headed west on an errand for Barlaman and paid a visit to Adzo's camp. Poor Adzo was having a rough time with bandits, causing trouble and debts left unpaid. I sorted out the bandit problem, then journeyed north towards Stresselbridge, snagging the stable there for future use, but saving the quest for my North Downs challenge. On my way, I swung by the lake and caught some turtles for a delicious turtle soup. Trust me, those turtles are tough, but the lovely lady by Hengster's farm makes the most delicious soup. But back to Strider's tasks. I got caught up helping everyone in Bree, but now it was time to head to Buckland. To my surprise, I just missed Frodo and the Hobbit and found myself fending off some wicked birds. Naturally, a trip to the Old Forest was next. I picked flowers for the hobbits, took down bears, bats, wolves, and even a massive spider. With my tasks complete, I returned to Strider, who sent me to meet the most delightful and curious man ever, Tom Bombadil. Tom was a hoot, offering me food and a place to rest. In return, I picked flowers for his lovely wife before venturing into the Great Barrows. With Tom's pointers and a renewed sense of purpose, I set off to conquer the Barrow Downs. The Barrow Downs were teeming with skeletons, barghists, and the occasional spider lurking in the shadow. During my adventure, I stumbled upon Lalia, a young hobbit who'd lost her way. Thankfully, I was able to escort her safely out of the Barrow Downs. Word around town is that she's opened up a shop in Bree, selling some exquisite goods. You might want to check out that market. Then came the real trial. Would I survive the Great Barrows instance? Rallying some friends and a few brave strangers, we ventured into the depths. The 3 instances went smoothly, thanks to the group's experience. We took them down one by one, and just like that, my questing was complete. Back in Bree, I set about finishing any remaining Slayer deeds and mopping up a few location deeds I'd missed. Throughout all of this, I kept upgrading my armor and weapons using materials I only gathered along the way. This turned out to be a lifesaver, especially against the wraiths popping up all over the place. Now, let's take a look at my stats by the end of my time in Bree. With my crafted armor, weapons, and jewelry from quests, my character was faring pretty well, not too shabby. I managed to survive most encounters with the wraiths, and this character hasn't died yet. Keep in mind, I'm playing on regular landscape difficulty. Upping the ante might speed up leveling process, but at the risk of death. At level 27, I decided to slot a Stone of Torches to disable leveling. I'd far out-leveled Bree, and it was actually making it tougher to track mobs and targets since they weren't showing up on my minimap. I plan to keep it on for Eredloon and the Shire next. The total time to complete Bree was 16 hours, 51 minutes, and 40 seconds. Here's how it broke down. Questing took the lion's share at 9.5 hours. Honestly, it didn't feel nearly as long because the content was so engaging and I was having a blast running around everywhere. Crafting took about another hour of my time, mostly spent farming resources. Around 40% of that was spent actually standing at a crafting table, actively crafting and leveling up my skills. Instances were a blast and took up almost 2 hours. I ran them twice, once to complete quests and the second time just for fun and to help out some friends. Slayer and location deeds took nearly 5 hours to complete. The toughest challenge was the Slayer deed, requiring you to find and kill sickle flies in the Midgewater Marshes. It took me a solid 40 minutes to finish that daunting task. Not only were the flies scarce, but I wasn't the only one out there completing the deed, and the respawn rate was painfully slow. If you have a hunter friend, definitely bring them along to track those elusive flies. It takes you about 50-minute stops to complete it that way. So, did I complete 100% of Bree? Yes, I did. I even printed out the LOTRO wiki page listing every quest, including the hidden ones, and ticked them all off. If you enjoyed this video, check out my next one, where I review every LOTRO expansion ever for beginners. Drop a comment below and let me know what zone I should tackle next. And as always, happy hunting.